you so much for being here.
Yeah, thanks for having us.
It's been a minute since I've seen you guys, and you are kicking off 2025 with a bang. A lot going on this year, so I want to talk about that. You've got your Hometown Home single out. We'll get to that. But you just recently performed on Good Morning America, and you previewed a song, Isn't She Country?
Yeah.
A reimagined version of Stevie Wonder's Isn't She Lovely? How did that come about? Tell us about that.
We were sitting on the bus one night with, it was pretty late one night. We were drinking, and we were sitting on the bus with Forrest Finn.
Hot tea.
Right, that's what
Forrest Finn and Rob Pennington. And we had written probably 6 or 7 songs on that trip. And then Rob was like, man, I got this idea, and I don't know if you guys will be into it, but I was just kind of having fun and messing around. And he says, you know, the Stevie song, Isn't She Lovely? I was just kind of messing around as it, Isn't She Country? And we were like, oh, that's kind of fun, you know? And so we started chasing the idea a little bit. He had a few lyrics, and then, man, all the harmonies, Forrest can sing really well too, so we were kind of like singing harmonies and imagining what the song could sound like, you know? And then we made a quick demo, and we played it for a couple people. We were like, this could be really fun. And so we took it to our producer, Jacob Rice, and he just crushed the track. And we, you know, tracked it out and everything. And then we hit the studio, we sang it, and we're like, okay, this sounds pretty good, but there's one little problem. We're gonna have to contact Stevie.
That's what I was gonna ask.
Yeah,
if we basically his song
with different lyrics.
And we already spent a little bit of money on the demo and stuff, so we're like, man, let's at least send a request out to talk to Stevie. And so it sat there for months and months, and nothing happened. And we're like, well, maybe Stevie doesn't like it, or maybe he's not gonna respond, you know. And then finally, I got in touch with Rusty Gaston, and he was like, I'll contact, you know, through Sony ATV. And so he made some calls, and their team heard it, they loved it, and they were like, hey, this is a lot of fun. Let's just have some fun with this. And so they approved everything.
Oh, wow.
So we're like, okay, so we got it for the album. We were cheersing and excited. Next thing you know, we were going on Good Morning America, and we were like, let's just sing it on Good Morning America as song number 2. And so then they said, well, that takes another approval from Stevie again.
Stevie?
And we're like, oh man, this is gonna be impossible to get in touch with them twice.
Yes.
But they responded, and they were like, yeah, let's do this. So they've been great to work with and easy, and it's been pretty fun.
Yeah, that's awesome. What's been the feedback to the song? Did you get any response?
You know, it's been 50-50, I'll be honest with you. It really has.
Really?
Which isn't a bad thing, you know what I mean? So it's kind of polarizing at the same time. And I'm one of those guys when I don't like to do a remake of a song and kind of just, it doesn't, not necessarily stealing, it's respect also, because we love Stevie Wonder and we love that song. Especially it was written about his daughter, you know, so we wanted the idea of it, instead of worried about it, we just kept going, just said, look, we're gonna make this fun, you know, rather than try to make this carve out the best song of all time. We're gonna make this fun. We're gonna sing it. We're gonna respect Stevie. Because we kept basically the whole melody, and you know, it's turning out. I mean, more people like it than but it's close.
But it keeps people talking about it.
I kind of like it. I don't hate it.
Yeah. So of course, this all leads to a new album that you guys have coming out. So tell us about what can we expect from this album.
And I think we're gonna have 11 or 12 songs on there. We've got a really cool feature. I'm not supposed to talk about it.
You can, because you can.
Yeah?
Yeah.
You can.
Talk about it. Go ahead. Nobody's listening.
Well, we went on tour with Kane Brown. He took us on his arena tour, and then he had us join him on his stadium tour. It was incredible this last year. And so we were kind of talking backstage, and he said, you know, if you ever need me for anything, he's just such a great guy. And so we were listening to songs on the bus one night, and he was playing some songs that he had written. And he plays this song called Neon Girl, and we're like, whoa, that's a great song. And so we asked him to send it to us, and he said, yeah, I'm not gonna cut it for my album. It doesn't quite fit my album, but if you guys want it, you can have it. And so we went in the studio, cut the song, sounded great.
Well, we had to text him like every week, what do you do with Neon Girl? Neon Girl.
Because his album just released.
Yes.
And so it's been a little tricky wondering if he was gonna cut it. And then he said, yeah, you guys can have it. And he offered to sing on it. And so we're gonna do a song with Kane. We're real excited about that.
It's a great song too. It's different for us because it's not about, you know, getting the girl, trying to romance the girl. It's about stay away from that girl.
Oh, okay.
You know
So
what
that
I mean?
is different.
Never should have
So,
chased
yeah,
that
yeah,
young girl, you know.
Yeah.
But it's really good. It's very thing, and I kind of feel like the harmonies we're doing is old, kind of like Shenandoah, Restless Heart kind of
Old school.
So old school, yeah. But with a new flavor, because Kane has that awesome flavor involved.
So this new, you say that one's a little different for you, but the rest of the songs on the album kind of are in your vein and what you do. It's kind of a love song album-ish.
Yeah, you know, we do a lot of feel-good stuff, and we've just always been the positive guys, whether it be I know somebody, the romantic underdog guy, you know, or I love this life, just appreciating where you are in life and soaking it up. And so these songs reflect that as well. I mean, we've got a bunch of songs on there that are reminiscent of that kind of material, whether it be love or life or having a good time, you know, with your friends. I mean, that's just who we are, and we've always been that way.
It's so fun to write that. It's so fun to write that. We're good at it. When we're with the other songwriters, they want to write that with us because that is our realm. And you know, there's some cool stuff on it, man. There's a love song on here called Older. That one was a special one, very special. And we were all sitting in Vegas when we wrote that. It was a long time ago. It was actually on hold for Keith Urban. Keith Urban immediately put it up. And when we were writing, it was a funny story. You can tell him he's a great storyteller.
Yeah, we were out in Vegas and we had a show that night. And so we were wrapping up this song. We wrote it in like a half hour. And really fast song, maybe the fastest song I can remember us ever writing.
I'll tell you something. I wanted to write something when we were talking with him, and I told Matt, I was like, listen, my wife's grandparents have been together almost 60 years. I mean, it's incredible. He still picks her flowers in the morning. She unfortunately just got diagnosed with cancer, and it's rough, but you know, everybody wants to be like that. They want their love story to be like that. And that's when, I don't know who said, well, older is the title.
I think it was Seth or somebody. We wrote this with Seth Ennis and Matt Alderman. They went out to Vegas with us, and we didn't get a lot of writing done on that trip.
I was going to say, that was probably a big part of it.
Again, we were drinking a lot of hot tea again.
Yeah, of course.
So we usually get a lot of songs written on the road, but Vegas is a tough one. And so we're up in the hotel room. We're kind of, we ordered food to the room, and we finally got a couple songs written, and we write this song. And we're like, man, this feels really good. And so they were like, do you think Keith would cut this song? And I was like, I don't know. I mean, we wrote You Can Apply for Keith. So we kind of have an open line to call Keith and say, hey, you know, what do you think about this one? And so I said, I'm willing to send it to him. So I send it to Keith right on the spot, right after we write it. And there's no response. And they're like, you know, they're all watching my phone. And I'm like, he hasn't responded yet, guys. Let's go do the show and we'll come back. And they were like, maybe he doesn't like it. So I was like, you know, this sounds like Tim McGraw too. I think I'm gonna pitch it to Tim. You know, so I got a little impatient and I pitched it to Tim.
Oh no.
Immediately, ding.
From Tim?
And I was like, oh. I was like, well, let's see who it is. You know, so I look at my phone and it's Keith. And he sends the emoji for cheese. And I was like, he thinks it's cheesy, guys. He thinks it's cheesy. I'm never sending Keith another song for the rest of my life.
What does this mean in Australian? I don't know.
I was like, this is horrible, guys. And I'm just embarrassed. And I'm like, and they're like, they're all sitting, they're scratching their head. And they're like, thought we wrote a good one. And I was like, you know, and so I wrote back question mark. I sent it to him. And he writes back and he sends the emoji for a mouse. And he said, the mouse wants the cheese. And I was like, we got it, guys. We got the cut. And so immediately my phone goes ding. And it's Scott Simon. And he's like, we want it. And I'm like, this is a problem. Now we've got two guys maybe on hold. And so I had to tell them, you know, that Keith had first hold. So anyway, fast forward, he holds on to it for like a year. And then he sends me a text like a year later and he says, man, it's just not gonna fit the theme of where I'm going. And so, you know, I wanna let it go. And I was like, well, you know, songs, I always say to Chris, songs are on journeys. And so I didn't know where the song was gonna end up. Tim was already done with his album, couldn't go back there. So it kind of sat around for a while with us, but it was always one of our favorites.
Yeah, for sure.
And so then we ended up cutting it ourselves, and I'm glad.
Yeah, it's a great song.
We needed a song like this on this album.
Yeah, and it found its rightful place. So
it did.
It was meant to be. So before I let you guys go, I did want to talk about 10-year anniversary of I Love This Life.
Yes.
How has your music or your sound, we talked about how, you know, you have that thread going through it, the positivity. How have you think you've changed from 10 years ago from I Love This Life?
I mean, I would say change musically, and as you're supposed to grow with music, and I think we've done okay. I believe we've always been ahead of the curve on a lot of stuff, which is why it took a little bit longer for us to fit in to the country mold, because I believe we came in strong. We came in maybe with a little bit of R&B too much, or a little bit of rock too much. It was something that country wasn't used to.
We were a little fearless.
Yeah.
And a lot fearless, actually.
And now, just coming back into it, I think we're probably the most country duo out there right
Well,
now.
you know,
So
nobody
it's
was paying attention to us. We weren't getting any attention. We weren't getting any tours. We weren't getting anything. And we're like, and in those days, I just remember we just wanted to make noise and have someone look our direction, you know, because you're trying to, you're trying to stand out in the crowd in a tough town.
Yes.
And I think that's what it was a little bit.
But, you know, over the years, we've grown and we learn, and it's hard to learn patience, but I'm still learning to this day, you know, the music industry. And I think everyone should always learn every day. If you feel like you know it all, you're not going to be successful.
But also with our own label now, we don't have to be patient. We don't have to
true.
sit and
Do it
wait
your
for
way.
the next meeting,
That's
next Tuesday or whatever. We can just have that meeting right then and get things done.
Oh, we know. Our team is
get
sitting in
moving.
here knowing that, you know, there's probably something that we're call back in 5 minutes and like, hey, we got this idea. So, I mean, it's constantly, we definitely have ADD, Z, and it works in this industry, so.
It was great talking to you.
Thank you.
And
It's
seeing
great
you guys.
seeing you.
Absolutely.
We love
Same
American
here.
Songwriter. This is a big deal for us, so thank you for having us.